What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the left side of the map, playing as Isis. His name is Count Von Count. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Zeus. His name is Wiz. He's back for Champions League, or at least that's what he's trying to tell us with his username here. The map is Tundra. This is the round of 32 for the Champions League qualifiers. Both players here, having made round of 32, do qualify for a spot in Challengers League. You have to get to the round of 8 to qualify for the Champions League. So both players are going to be attempting to try their hardest and make their way into that portion of the tournament. Very, very exciting time to be alive here. For those of you who are not aware who Count Von Count is, I'll introduce these players a little bit more in depth here. Count Von Count is a guy, I believe, who actually does have a very rare S tournament win under his belt. I think it's a win. And this is way back when. This is before the kind of new era, I like to call it, the new era of Age of Mythology. This was like the 2020 era onwards, where we kind of had a very different amalgamation of top players compared to the big tournaments that used to happen before. I say big tournaments for Age of Mythology used to happen. And Count Von Count, I believe, has a win in an S-tier tournament from way back in like 2014 or 2013 or something. I can't remember exactly what the date is, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he's an incredibly strong player, and he's got a lot of fire in him. So I'm excited to see how he's going to play. He's going with Isis for this first game. Wiz, on the other hand, he is part of the old boys. He's been carrying the old boys into retirement and trying to make our lives a lot more easier, like making our food for dinner and tucking us in bed at night, and and generally just being a good time, trying to liven the mood. He's a fantastic Age Mythology player when he wants to be, and I'm excited to see if he's going to come up with something here. He's definitely up to date with some modern Zeus ideas, things like the 316 or 416 advance time, things like he can pull out incredibly fast, aggressive Zeus play as well. He's definitely a very interesting player, and it does look like he's just going to be. Oh, he is going for the 416. I thought he might have just dropped an extra villager out and gone for 430 there. Sometimes if you don't have exactly the resources, it might be better to do it that way. But he does go for a slightly delayed 416 there and gets a 420, which is not exactly what you want to do. Sometimes it is just better to just say YOLO, build the extra villager, no problems. But we'll see how things are going to go here, because right now it looks like Count Von Count is doing something very tried and true. This, to me, looks very, very familiar. This is the delayed Classical Age Advance from Count Von Count. This is a fast heroic build order from Isis. There is one sneaky strategy which you can do with this sort of an advance time, going up at 5:15. It's a very, very big metagame strategy, as we do see the Katoskabos coming in and being very, very annoying over here. It's a bit of a metagame strategy. I don't think we're going to see it here, but the idea is by advancing as late as Count Von Count is advancing here, you can actually manage to get yourself 800 gold in the bank by the time you hit the Classical Age, and you can drop 2 town centers at one point. So when a player sees an advance time at like 5:15 or 5:30, the immediate thought is that they're going for a fast heroic off of that. That's the thought process that kind of goes into everything. As the villagers are going to be coming back. Bast is coming in. Wiz is going up, or has gone up through Hermes here, and I imagine he's just going to go for a very, very fast second town center. A little bit of town center idle time here from Wiz. Has kind of forgotten to make that happen as the centaur searching around. There is a priest over here as well. Plenty of Aurochs in the base for this fast heroic, but just as an aside, that interesting alternative strategy there that could throw a player's metagaming off by just a little bit, as we do see the Count von Count has actually bothered here to grab Odin's wand out, as the Odysseus coming in going to be slinging some arrows out into the priest. With the other priest up, should be fine. As long as he can drag these Aurochs back, it might be actually a decent idea for Wiz to try and actually shoot these Aurochs himself out onto this portion of the map here. It could be a play, but we just see that Count von Count is just going to happily come in here. The Pharaoh will be able to start getting some good damage done onto that centaur, as the Odysseus getting some damage done over here. It's very important to not overreact to this type of thing and make sure you keep your Pharaoh alive. If you get some damage done, just pull back, re-heal that one back up, and you should be completely fine where that's concerned. As this priest did retreating back, trying to keep himself alive. We do see the armor now coming up for Count von Count, as his decision is very, very obvious right now for Wiz. So we'll have to wait and see what he's going to be doing now. Generally speaking, against the Isis Fast Heroic as Greek, you want to grab 2 town centers, but you want to grab the back town center, as we do see a cheeky Sphinx coming in looking for some villager kills over here. He might be looking for an immediate Ancestors Eclipse on the economy as well, which is also a decent idea from the ISIS side of things, as we do see the bolt coming down there onto that Sphinx, as the units coming back in here to cause some problems. The villagers just going to be simply garrisoning away for the time being. Probably could just leave them over here and slowly move villagers off of the hunt and chuck them onto the herdables, taking it nice and slow, as we're starting to see some Hippocon coming through here. But Count's taking his time. Pickaxe coming through. We will be seeing yet again the Centaur taking a little bit of damage there, as Count's going to just retreat back. Does he have husbandry yet? He does have husbandry, so those villagers are going to be coming up very, very nicely, as the town center gets to get a little bit of damage done there onto that Odysseus, as a house will get torn down. There is already a wall over here with a tower defending this gold mine, so Count von Count should be completely fine here. We do have an interesting question in chat. What's the benefit of delayed classical unless they're getting upgrades early? Well, by advancing a minute later, that means you've gotten out 4 villages faster. So that means you've got an extra minute of gather time on 4 villages over someone who advances at 4:30. So if you advance at 5:30, they advance at 4:30, you have an extra villager out for an extra minute, and you times that by 4, which effectively equals an extra 240-ish extra resources for about a minute delayed advance time is the benefit. And generally speaking, the way to utilize those resources for the biggest benefit is to get yourself some economic upgrades. As we do see Nephthys coming through, prosperity has come down, and the big question here is going to be, can Wiz get out enough economy here to get himself army that can defend or attack or harass, and also just keep himself alive after the impending Ancestors Eclipse push may be coming down. As we do see the Migdol Stronghold coming up, we've got double obelisks getting dropped up here for Count von Count. He really wants to see everything, though. I mean, it's a bit strange to chuck that up next to the Watchtower. I wonder exactly how much extra line of sight he's actually going to get here. He doesn't really get a whole lot. As we do see Wiz coming down to the bottom corner of the map, he sees the gold mine here, and Wiz going to be clicking the ceasefire there on the Migdol Stronghold. This is a veteran strategy here. I haven't seen this one in quite some time. The idea here is that you're casting ceasefire. You're casting ceasefire to delay the Migdol Stronghold, obviously, but more importantly, you're casting ceasefire to be able to get yourself out an extra minute of military units to push in and start harassing this Migdol Stronghold. So Wiz's plan here needs to be putting pressure on straight away. He's got himself a couple more stables out. He's got himself 81 population, 45 villages, so plenty of units. He does need to get himself medium cavalry and potentially also think about teching into Pierce armor, but he could definitely be hitting this Migdol Stronghold and trying to force an an Ancestors Eclipse on the back of this, which would be absolutely devastating for Count Von Count moving forward, as Count's Scorpion Man moving out, and Wiz doesn't go for this. So this does make it just a little bit confusing to me as to why that came out, as we're starting to see the Scorpion Man getting some raids coming in. This is a very, very Count Von Count play style. She loves these extra raids over here. The heroes have to move over onto this position, and that spreads out the heroes nicely to allow anything else to happen. As in the main base, we're seeing Scorpion Men hitting over here. We've got 2 different Scorpion Men, 3 Scorpion Men out. The raids coming through. Wiz has not managed to get his walls down in this game, which is definitely a vitally important thing in this matchup, is to get at least get your base walled up so you don't get units just running around freely here, as now the Jason and the Odysseus are going to have to start pulling back, getting some damage done. It looks like Count, does he have 2 monuments here, or is this all off 1 monument? He does have 2 monuments here as well. And these Scorpion Men, if he keeps them alive, make sure they don't fall here in this game. During Ancestors Eclipse, they're going to be so absurdly strong, as we see Scorpion Man over on this position here, trying to put some pressure onto Wiz. Wiz's got plenty of resources, losing some villagers here. Doesn't matter that much to him, so long as he can continue gathering resources and stay relevant here, as we do see. There we go. That's what we want to see from Wiz, coming forward to hit Count Von Count's units while he's busy raiding him. But Count is a speedy boy. That reaction there, he even leaves these villagers back here. He knows that Wiz isn't paying attention on this one right now, as he drags those units straight into the town center. It takes only 4 villagers off that and the Pharaoh. Beautiful play from Count Von Count, as the Jason on this position over here about to get sniped down. Meanwhile, we do see a siege tower coming in onto this position to attack this armory, as the Scorpion Men getting pushed back. Random chariot archers in the middle of the map here are getting taken down, but the Scorpion Men coming through are going to start becoming very, very annoying over here. Wiz can't realistically fight that. The Scorpion Men are just a little bit too strong, and we are seeing yet again more raids coming through for Count Von Count onto the villagers here of Wiz, as the villager count is still very, very nice here for Wiz. Even after all of these villager kills, he's still it's almost got 20 villager lead here. If he'd managed to get some walls up in this game, I imagine he would have a significant lead, as he's trying desperately to get up to the heroic age. It is a vitally important thing in this matchup to get to the heroic age so you can get yourself heavy cavalry. I say this quite a bit in this matchup, that heavy cavalry are vitally important to deal with chariot archer spammage that might be coming, as we do see Count Von Count grabbing a 3rd town center behind all of this. Hippocon going for a little bit of a raid over here, as we are seeing in the main base of Wiz. A couple of villagers still getting taken out, and after all is said and done, it looks like the villager advantage that Wiz had gained by putting that early town center down has been squandered, as Count Von Count manages to find the kills he needs in this game. We do see a 3rd town center as well coming up for Wiz, as the Hippocon still running around on this location here as well, looking for something to find at this point, as we also see Spearman out for Count Von Count. One thing that is a really, really big upgrade for the Egyptian side of things here, which I think a lot of Egyptian players do forget about, is if you see your opponent making mass Hippocon, get yourself copper mail. It's just one of those small upgrades, especially as Isis at only 135 food, 135 gold, because of the unique bonus of Isis having cheaper upgrades, cheaper technologies. You get that cheaper upgrade. It's really, really value to get that early against like a mass Hippocon army. As we see copper shields coming through for Wiz, this is going to kind of role play. If he gets copper shields and he gets copper mail and he gets copper weapons, that does role play slightly as having as having heavy Hippocon. So technically speaking, in the classical age, if you get all those 3 upgrades out and your opponent doesn't have any of their own armor upgrades out, you actually can kind of role play as having heavy cavalry, which can be a big thing. The other thing that might be importance here for Wiz moving forward is going to be to get himself spirited charge here onto those Hippocon, so they can get in and surround this army a little bit better, as the army here of Count Von Count moving straight forward, trying to find some villages. He does split the army out to hit both those gold mines. We'll be finding some villages over here as the Hippocon are going to be coming back. We see the Odysseus is in. Vitally important to keep that Odysseus alive and take out the Scorpion Man, which he is doing immediately here as the Hippocon going to be coming through. They do have themselves Spirited Charge at 6.5 or 6.05 speed as the Hippocon coming around onto this side. We do see Copper Shields coming through for Count on Count. Not going to be help at all against the current army, which Wiz is constructing here, but it is obviously going to be decent for defenses against things like the town center and everything else. But this is a huge fight for Wiz to be able to get here. He takes down all of those units, and he's going to be pushing Count on Count back here, and both players pushing up on the villager count here. The problem for Wiz is he needs farms down, and he hasn't started the farm transition at all, whereas Count on Count's got a handful of farms over there. He's still eating food at the top side of the map there. We see Wiz is on the berries on this side, so he's basically eaten all the food that he's got access to, and we are seeing Count going to be getting pushed back. Now, walls coming up for Count. He's already upgraded stone walls, which does go to show you, some people value this quite a bit, and to be honest, it is a crazy technology. If you're going to be going in with a lot of walls, it's definitely worth getting. Extra 600 HP plus the reduction in hack vulnerability of 10% is a huge deal, and you can see the walls are up for Count. He is walling himself in, and he is saying, I am not going to be losing this game to any cheeky shenanigans here in this game, as we see Count trying to push forward, grab more control of the map. The problem for Count right now is that these cavalry are really, really strong. They are completely tearing through Count von Count's chariot archers here. Now, the Scorpion Man is a really, really important unit here, and we do see heavy spearmen comes through there as well for Count, but he's going to need a lot more spearmen here to deal with these cavalry. Even after everything else. We are seeing a little bit of micro there from Wiz trying to distract those chariot archers nicely. He is doing that great as the Hippocon over here going to be taking those villagers down, as they are not going to be able to get that Migdol stronghold up any time here soon. As units getting pushed back, another wall coming up over here, setting up for a potential catapult push here. Very, very fast in this game. I'm pretty sure Wiz sees these walls here as well, but he's not going to be able to do anything to stop it. I wouldn't mind seeing like a tower get shot up here after the siege works as well, if he manages to get that set up, which would be absolutely huge, as Wiz does have to pull back. Count's in a decent position. He's also opting into a very, very early trade route. Now, trade routes take a while to pay themselves off. You build one camel caravan, it walks, so already the camel caravan takes 14 seconds. It has to walk to this town center here and back, generally speaking, twice before it pays itself off, which is a significant amount of time. It's probably around about a minute or a minute and a half before it pays itself off, and then another 30 seconds to 45 seconds for it to actually get yourself the resources going up. So they are expensive, and while it's obviously important to get your trade, it's definitely a decision that you need to not make lightly. It's not just every game, yeah, I've got to start my trade as fast as possible. That's not how it works. It's always it's got to be a weighed decision. Now, you don't have to go crazy on the trade. You don't have to build like 20 trade caravans straight away, but you got to be careful you don't overdo it. As we do see more Hippocon coming back in over here. Archery range is getting dropped down here by Wiz, as Count is now starting to show he's already walled off the entirety of his side of the map, and he's going to start taking positions away from Wiz here. As the Count von Count chariot archers pushing for the spearmen, going to be taking out the medium Hippocon over on this side here, as the Hippocon therefore Wiz is going to be falling there. The chariot archer is going to take out those Toxotes as well. Nice micro there. We also see heavy chariots. That's a huge upgrade. Wiz is really, really short right now on gold. How are his economic upgrades going? He's got shaft mines. Obviously, he knows he's short on gold. One of the big challenges of playing Zeus in the classical age is getting your farm transition in and then realizing you don't need wood anymore after your farm transition finishes and you've got all your farms up. You need to just take those villagers off of wood, chuck them over onto gold. Right now, Wiz is in a very, very difficult time, and Count von Count is taking full advantage of this moment in the game. He's going to be able to pick off a ton of villagers if he finds them over here. very, very shortly. We'll see how things are going to go and still more micro here from Wiz trying to get himself up to full population. There is always a chance here for Zeus and Greek to find wins against civilizations like Isis, as we do see the villagers push through, break down the wall. Another stone wall comes up for Count Von Count, as now we see the watchtower starting yet again, or not starting, this is what we're talking about, as Count Von Count is getting set up, ready to take out this town center over here with some catapults, as Thoth is coming through for Count Von Count. This is kind of an old strategy, but it's kind of coming back in popularity. But like for the past, maybe I would say for the past about 10 years, against Greek, every Isis and every Ra player would go for Osiris. No ifs and buts are about it. Osiris is the pick because you needed the mummies to deal with the Colossus. But what we worked out, what's kind of been worked out in the past maybe year-ish, is that Horus and Thoth, if you get the timing right, if you got your opponent on the back foot and you got the timing right, you will be able to beat you'll be able to kill the Zeus or kill the Greek before their power spike actually occurs some of the time. If you go through Thoth and you get and you can make an easier win than with, say, Son of Osiris and Mummies and all the other late game stuff. That being said, Thoth does lose late game against Greek because you don't have a good answer to Gold Colossus. It takes a long time for Gold Colossus to come out. Apollo is on the way here for Wiz. He's still in a half decent position. Does he have Masons here? He does have Masons as well. And we do see some siege towers starting to make their way through onto this location. We'll see if Wiz is paying attention over here or not. As the siege towers roll through, I imagine a catapult will start getting made over here, as well as we see on the main town center here, huge meteor getting dropped down onto this position, taking all those farms out. It's going to be absolutely brutal. Wiz has got tons of resources in the bank. Meanwhile, town center on the top side of the map is going through. Apollo is getting taken down, and Wiz is not paying attention here. He is about to lose this town center, lose his heroic gauge. The home town center goes down as well. He loses 2 town centers there in the space of 30 seconds there. Valley of the Kings coming through for Count Von Count as the Phoenix pops out here. Wiz is on 1 town center. He'll be at 105 max population, and his population is plummeting here as the Phoenix flies through as well. An incredibly tough unit to deal with if you simply just take out the Odysseus there. But in that moment, Wiz taps out. Count Von Count comes into this series meaning business. You know, I've seen some games here in this series thus far, and you can tell the players have had tournament jitters in the first game. But Count Von Count comes in here. He deals with the early game pressure that Wiz puts onto him really, really nicely, and then he just gets into his zone. He's hitting raiding groups up on the top of the map, in the middle of the map, at the bottom of the map, with just one Scorpion Man, just kind of everywhere there. He's spreading out on the map. He's expanding everything. This is some of the most clean, fundamental Isis play you're going to be seeing anytime soon. This is some beautiful Isis play, beautiful one town center Isis play. Plays it to a T here, ladies and gentlemen. Takes the first game. We're just going to have to go back to the drawing board and try and think about why he got into the position he got into and how he's going to be able to prevent that in the next game. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.